Well, welcome. Welcome to this session of the AgrAbility Virtual National Training Workshop. Hopefully you were not expecting the AT in a box presentation, as we previously indicated that one had to be postponed. So today's session is on agritourism, and our presenter today is Steve Swain from here at the National AgrAbility Project and the Indiana AgrAbility Project. So we hope it is a profitable time for you. We will be having questions and answers at the end, as usual. Before we get started, we'll have a few just basic instructions. Oops. Apparently those slides did not get into this version. There we go. There we go. A little mix-up on, we had two of the same slide. Okay, so most of you have probably heard these before. If not, if you're having any problems in terms of your audio, you do, of course, need speakers or headphones. You can check your sound through the meeting menu at the top of your screen on the left through the audio setup wizard. If you have any questions during the presentation about what's being shared, you can type those in the chat window and hit the return. And also during the question and answer period at the end, we'll open it up. If you have a web microphone and would like to ask your question verbally, just use the raise hand icon at the top. We'll be doing our 4 poll questions at the end, and so please stick around for those to let us know your feedback on the session. This session is being recorded, and you will find those archives on our virtual NTW site page on our agrability.org website. If you have any problems during the session in terms of technical issues, please type those into the chat window. And if you're not able to use the chat window, please email us through the agrability@agrability.org email address, and we'll be monitoring that. If you are having any problems with echo, that may mean that you are logged in more than once. And so you would need to log out. Hopefully that will cure your problem. If we happen to get disconnected with our presenter, we'll try to get reconnected as quickly as possible. And if you get logged, or if you get disconnected as a participant, please just log in again. For those that are not familiar with AgrAbility, and I believe most of you are, we are sponsored by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We focus on disability issues in agriculture, and every AgrAbility project is a partnership between a land-grant university and at least one nonprofit disability services organization. Currently, there are 20 funded projects from around the country, and there's one national AgrAbility project that is led through Purdue's Breaking New Ground Resource Center, and we partner with Goodwill of the Finger Lakes, the Arthritis Foundation Heartland Region, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, and Colorado State University. Much more information about AgrAbility can be found at the agrability.org website. At this point, I'm going to turn things over to Steve, and I will return then for our question and answer period.
Good afternoon. Good to have all of you with us today. We're going to talk about agritourism, accessibility, and profitability. And we're just an overview. We're going to look at what is agritourism, some of the questions to consider when trying to determine should I start an agritourism enterprise, liability issues, accessibility of the enterprise, some resources, and then we'll take some questions. Okay, technical adjustments here. a little bit of background. We about 10 years ago, what now is the Department of Agriculture here in Indiana and the Department of Tourism got together and conducted 5 workshops, full-day workshops on agritourism. We were asked to present on accessibility in agritourism venues. And then as we have worked with vocational rehabilitation on small business enterprises and accessibility for people with disabilities, we have been involved in some agritourism venues. So we've come to this point from a couple different directions. Some of the resources we've used, and we'll look at these closer at the end. Extension training for agritourism enterprises. This is done by the Northeast SARE group. Dick Brozowski from Maine was one of those, Maine AgrAbility. E-Extension website on agritourism. Marshfield Clinic, the National Children's Center on agritourism, and then the Agricultural Marketing Resource Center and their site on agritourism. I like this picture simply because it gets your attention, a good piece of marketing. Agritourism, also called agritainment, agricultural tourism, agritourism, or farm tourism. It is an activity, enterprise, or business that combines primary elements and characteristics of agriculture and tourism and provides an experience for visitors that stimulates economic activity and impacts both farm and community income. And that definition is from the E-Extension website. Some examples, we see the pumpkin patches here in the fall, corn mazes, it could be a farm market, U-Pick enterprise, petting zoos. I was looking at a video and the farmer didn't like the term petting zoo. I know some others that don't also. But fishing enterprises, community CSAs, community supported agriculture, farm tours, hunting, wineries. Again, this time of year, cut your own Christmas trees, hay rides, and haunted barns. And this is a picture of U-Pick strawberry operation here in Indiana. So how do we come up with what I should do? And I encourage you when you're looking at this or your clients to put this on paper. A lot of things sound good in your head, but when you put them on paper, you sometimes think, what was I thinking about? But the first thing is determine, what do you like to do? What do you like to grow? Do you like working with people? Or what do you not like to do? We find very common in a husband-wife enterprise, the husband is most likely the production person, and the wife does the marketing and customer service. And that goes back to just being man and wife. We then look at what kind of resources are available. So the first one, what kind of skills and abilities do we have? Are we good working with people? Are we able to communicate well. Again, that husband-wife thing. How much of the family is going to be involved? Is it just one of the spouses or both? Are the kids going to be involved? Parents? We're most likely, in a lot of them, looking at additional staffing. So where is that going to come from? Are we looking at additional land, or do we have the land available for these? It's not very smart to have a fee for hunting business if you don't have any woodlands or have a place that they can hunt, or fishing if you don't have a pond. And then what are the financial resources involved? Are we able to use funds that are already in hand, or are we looking at borrowing some money to get it going? What are the risks of the enterprise? I get very nervous when you have the corn mazes and U-picks, because most of the time that is a family event, and you bring kids on the property and you have no idea where they're going to end up. You might go, at the end of the day, go back in the house and there's somebody else's kid sitting on your couch. And then the last in this section is what are your revenue goals? What are you looking for, a full-time income from this, or is this simply a way of diversifying the current operation? Again, we want to put these things on paper and list them. Business plan feasibility, and this is going to be a quick and dirty feasibility as we move through and determine what we're going to do. Then we want to get into some full-blown business planning. But as we look at our business, we're looking at, okay, who are we wanting to target for our business? What are the demographics? Are we looking at senior citizens, which you might have on a wine tour? Are we looking at families with young kids, singles? What kind of income level are we looking at? We'll look at where you can get some of this information in a moment. What is demand for our business? Do we have to create it? Is somebody else doing it? If there's already demand, it is easier. Creating the business, the demand for it can get tricky sometimes. Who is your competition? I had a gentleman I was working with on a business plan who wanted to sell metal detectors, and I asked him, who is your competition? And he said, I don't have any competition. And I had, before our meeting, did a Google search of metal detectors and come up with over 900 sites, including some big box stores and that. And he had a lot of competition. He just wasn't recognizing it. The competition, if you're raising produce and U-picks, could be the local grocery store. So we want to be honest with ourselves about who we're competing with. And then what are they doing right and wrong? how are they pricing their products? What type of products? Are they doing heirloom tomatoes? Or are they what we would consider regular tomatoes? Knowing that, what's the price points? And then is there room for somebody else in that market? If the market is already saturated, it's going to be very difficult to get your part of the market share there, which leads me to how will you be different? Maybe it is raising heirloom tomatoes or other produce. Will you deliver? Community supported agriculture, CSA, that might be part of it. But being able to determine how you'll be different is part of your marketing strategy. So we get to the place where we're looking at our demographics. Who are we marketing to, income levels, and so forth. There is a site called Market Maker. You're looking at a screen print of the Indiana Market Maker site. And this is a site where you can form your own market area. You can determine how big an area you want to market to, so you can do targeted marketing. You can create that area and specify, I'm looking at a population 25 to 34 years old. And in this income type. And so it'll bring up a map. You see the different colors there. And then on the right, you'll see a breakdown of the households, the population, by age, by household type, married couples, married with children, so forth. We even break it down into different races. And again, it's knowing what your market is. You're also able to, with this website, search out who you might be competing with in your designated area. It'll bring up what products they produce. There'll be links to their websites, all their contact information, have a profile, and give you what their contact information is, a website, what produce they raise, the attributes of them. Is it fresh, or are we looking at value added? What kind of form? Again, value added. And how they're selling it. Are they selling it at the farmer's market? Are they selling it off the farm? When are they selling it? What are their hours? What months do they have available for the products? So there's a lot of information you can get there. There's not all states have a market maker website, but you can look for that information. Foodmarketmaker.com is the website for that. Now we get into some of the financials. And the income can come from an admission fee. It could be sales of fresh products or processed or value added. It could be an activity fee. They're doing, maybe a campfire or whatever. If you've got a facility that you can rent, that fee, a show fee. Maybe you offer a food service, catering, craft or souvenir sales. Some of the wineries are charging a tasting fee, or it could be a fee for bed and breakfast. Then we look at what are the added costs. Do we have to build any buildings? Do we have to remodel them? We're going to have some additional utilities, water, electric, fencing. We talked about, we could have kids going all over the place. How do we funnel them and keep them where we want them to be? Kids as well and adults as well. What kind of permits do we need? There are a lot of counties that have zoning restrictions that could apply. You get into health department permits with produce, especially with the value-added processed stuff. Pardon me. We're also looking at insurance costs. That is a big one. We'll address that in a moment. Signage, not just at the end of the lane, but within the property and where you have customers coming. Restroom facilities. You're going to have some kind of facilities, whether constructed in the buildings or rental facilities. Hand washing stations. We're in a time where they do that constantly. Improved lighting, that could be in parking and in buildings. A parking area. I don't think with the summer we've had, you want to be parking out in a pasture as wet as it was. People don't like mud on their vehicle or have to be pulled out. We talked about staffing. Do we have to hire staffing, or is their family going to help? Marketing, get into websites, newspaper ads, whatever. Staff apparel. You want the staff identified so that people know who to talk to. And then we look at the break-even section of it. How much time will it take? What kind of time constraints we'll be looking at? Is it going to take time away from other enterprises? And then we always want to, when we're looking at the financials, what is your time worth? I've had several that when we do business plans, they don't want to figure in what their time is worth. It's ever what is left at the bottom line. And bankers don't like to see that. They want to see you put a value on your time. And I submit to you that it should be much more than minimum wage. Does it conflict with other farming chores? Is it going to be during planting season or harvest? Are we going to be seeing a lot of traffic when you need to get around the barns and grain bins and so forth? And I guess big questions I always have is it worth the hassle? Is it going to be worth it to do the enterprise, or is it going to be too much trouble and not enough income? How many visitors do you need to cover the added expenses? And again, pay yourself a decent wage. Again, not minimum wage. But you can figure that from the figures that we've talked about. The fine topic of liability. You do not operate without insurance. property and liability. That is a must, unless you want to lose everything that you've got. There are legal protections. These are different in each state. There's some signage proposed, passed by our state legislature to transfer some of that liability back to the customer. But check that very much. How is the farm organized? Is it a limited liability company? Are we looking at a subchapter S corporation or sole proprietorship? Again, we're looking at the liability exposure. If it's a sole proprietor, you are exposing everything you have. Limited liability is exactly that. It limits some of the liability, not all of it. And then if it's a corporation, the corporation bears much of the liability, but there's still liability there. What do you do in an emergency? Again, going back to liability, you need to have a plan, whether that is clearing the grounds, how do you do it, who is in charge, and that plan needs to be posted where it can be seen by everybody. So the plan is already in place and you don't have to figure it out when the situation comes. We've got to remember that there are all different ages and abilities will be coming to the enterprise, and we have to especially think of children. Children will wander wherever they can. You may see them climbing fences just to get on the other side. The Marshfield Clinic publications have some safety strategies for each age group. We need to keep those in mind as we're doing all this. And then all the plans that you have them posted again where they are available for all to see, and then everything you do documented. Something is going to happen. There's going to be an injury, a storm go through. It's going to happen. It isn't if. And having things documented will help you work through those situations. When we look at accessibility, ADA guidelines apply to agritourism sites also. We want to make sure that we consider all disabilities, not just mobility, but vision and hearing, especially if our seniors are part of our target group. Pathways, slopes, door width, handles, ramps, colors, accessible wagons. Again, pathways 3 to 4 feet wide at least, level and firm. Ramps 1 inch rise per 12 inches of run. If you're looking at a what we would call a level drive or pathway, 1 to 20 is most of that. Doors at least 32 inches with lever handles. I always prefer at least 36. Restrooms to have at least one that is accessible. And again, the porta potties, they do make accessible porta potties. Designated parking. You want one accessible parking place per 25 total parking places. You want that close to the venue. A good way of making that accessible is using AgLime. It's a lot cheaper and can make a hard surface if we're looking at wheelchairs. Okay, our resources. These two are the primary ones that I looked at. And again, Dick was part of the group on the first one, but we'll look at these a little closer. This is an extension training for agritourism development, funded through the Northeast SARE project. There is a wealth of information here. You have training modules. You have an introduction to agritourism. They look at marketing, financial management, budgeting and pricing, managing safety risks, and then liability. On the left with the menu, they have training videos. One of the things that we see a lot of corn mazes and pumpkin patches is they're using a wagon to take customers out to the pumpkin patch. There is a specific video on that, and there's also a video giving the farmer's view of his agritourism site. Supplemental materials that give you more information, checklists on what to do, online budget calculator. Again, we're looking into financial. There's fact sheets and webinars. We go to AgMark site. There are checklists there. There are also examples of agritourism sites. Marshfield Clinic, their agritourism site, 3 excellent publications they have available for download. Agritourism Health and Safety Guidelines. This will take you clear through all of the preparation, what you need to do. The second one is Policies and Procedures, a checklist, and then a worksite walkthrough checklist. We've used each of these, and excellent publications. We get into the safe agritourism, and this is has a link from Marshfield. It has also has some walkthrough checklists, some fact sheets. It has information on communicating with customers, and it addresses insurance very specifically. This is a site I found a lot of first-person information. I think when we get some of the academic side from the other sites, but this one is farmers talking about their farms. And this is the North American Farmers Direct Marketing Association. They have chats, blogs, question and answers. Just a lot of information available. And I believe with that, we're ready for questions. I'll turn it back to Paul.
Okay, thank you, Steve, for that information and the resources you also mentioned there. If you have questions, feel free to type those in the chat window. While we're preparing those, we'll do our 4 quick poll questions that we always do. So if you could respond and give us some feedback, we'd appreciate that. If you could let us know what your organizational affiliation is, we would appreciate that. If you're in any way directly involved with AgrAbility, please make that choice. Otherwise, just choose the best possible option. Okay, thank you for your feedback. So we've got quite a few AgrAbility people on today. Not unexpected. The next question asks about the information that was shared today. Did you find it to be valuable, and did it meet your expectations? And again, hopefully you were not expecting the AT in the box, so not counting that one. Appreciate your feedback on that. Okay. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that. Our third question asks about the technology that was used. Did you find the technology effective and usable? And if you had any specific problems, please note those in the chat window also so we can try to troubleshoot those for the future. Also, if you had multiple participants logged in under your name, if you could let us know that there were extra people, we'd like to keep track of that. Okay, thank you. Looks like things worked pretty well. And finally, based on today's session, would you attend another session in this series? And our final 2 sessions in this series are tomorrow, beginning at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Our first session will be from Carla Wilhite, who is familiar to many people in AgrAbility. And I will get the exact title for that webinar. Recommended seeding supports for agricultural equipment, and she will have several of her grad students, 2 of her grad students participating on that. So that should be an interesting session. Again, a research study. She's summarizing the current results. And then our final session at 3 tomorrow from Craig Heckathorn, prostheses, what do farmers and ranchers use, what do they want? Again, a research study, so we'll get some good data, some empirical results. So, thank you very much for your response to that last poll question. Appreciate that. At this point, I'm going to turn things back over to Steve and Cliff for any questions. Again, feel free to continue to type in any questions you have as we go along.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Yeah, I'm showing it. I'm showing it on. Okay, first question we have. We've had
Little technical problem with Steve's microphone. So we're going to switch chairs here and let him use this computer.
okay. First question, we've had issues helping farmers find affordable liability insurance for agritourism. Any suggestions? We have, during the workshops that we had back several years ago, that was the most agitating issue the whole time. Today, I believe there's only one provider of liability insurance for agritourism, and that is Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. But that has been a real issue, and that's probably the best advice that I've got. Hmm. Any more questions? Very good, and thank you very much.